the two Marvel movies that were released in the first half of 2025, Captain America: Brave New World and the Thunderbolts, despite the media and Disney Marvel shill circle jerk that desperately tried to convince people to hype this movie up, that you should be excited, that Marvel's back, baby. Ultimately, it was a massive failure at the box office for Marvel. Both movies lost a crap ton of money for Disney, but here we are, ready for the release of Fantastic Four in July, and despite the failures of this media hype train, it's already started once again in the same exact way for Fantastic Four. And in a shocking move, Disney decided to open up pre-sales for Fantastic Four almost 2 months before the movie came out. Over 50 days before the premiere of this movie, they opened up pre-sales, which is a extraordinarily long window. For reference, Superman, which releases before Fantastic Four, still has not opened up the pre-orders. That'll probably be coming in the next few days or so, about a month before the movie actually hits theaters. But Fantastic Four decided to open up very, very early, started revealing extra things in the trailer, Sue and Reed's baby, all these things to desperately try to convince people to go because, quite frankly, Marvel has a lot riding on Fantastic Four, especially after the two failures they've already had this year. And predictably, the Disney Marvel shill media circle jerk hype train has already begun for this movie. But is it legitimate? Well, we know it wasn't for Thunderbolts. We know it wasn't for Captain America: Brave New World, which were two massive failures. Fantastic Four, that remains to be seen whether it'll be a different story or not. But here are the headlines. After Thunderbolts underperformed. Weird, right? 2 months ago, these people were singing the praises of Thunderbolts, singing the praises of, oh, look at what an incredible opening weekend this is set to be. It was a complete spin job. And ultimately, the movie failed, just as we here on this channel predicted that it would. Fantastic Four could be on track to disprove Marvel fatigue with a massive start at the box office. And this was all in reference to a big Fandango report that, hey, Fandango ticket sales, the pre-sales for the first 24 hours for Fantastic Four, it's the biggest first 24 hours of the year. Now, considering what you have to go up against, things like Brave New World, Snow White, Thunderbolts, not necessarily all that impressive, because you have to remember that family movies like Lilo and Stitch and Minecraft, they don't see the same type of pre-sales. They don't see the same type of things for that. There's a lot of walk-up business. There's a lot of people deciding the weekend of because people are taking their entire families. That's how we see these big comic book tent poles. They're the ones that have massive, massive pre-sales as everyone gets in. They want to go Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They want to avoid the spoilers. They want to go out there and see the movie, at least the audience that remains. We started hearing all these wild reports of Fandango's app. It was crashing. AMC theaters, it was crashing because of the demand for Thunderbolts, which is wild, you know, if you take these reports at face value, because we didn't have these things happening for, I don't know, the release of Deadpool and Wolverine, which had an over $200 million domestic debut opening weekend. So you're thinking, holy cow, the demand must be out of this world. Well, when you actually look, there weren't that many people who were actually having problems with this. In fact, Fandango, the reason Fandango was down and these reports were coming out, 12 people within about an hour period had reported that they couldn't access Fandango. That's the massive crashes that are reported, because when you go to AMC, I didn't have any problem going there. I didn't have any problem loading up Fandango. I didn't have any problem, and neither did millions and millions of other people that shared their screenshots and said it's fine for me. Well, then we started getting more context, which is always interesting, isn't it? This massive first 24 hours in ticket sales that broke the record for this year. Well, it's actually significantly less than even something like Thor: Love and Thunder's first 24 hours in pre-sales. Well, now, after we have this data, we finally get the first box office projections based on data for Fantastic Four: The First Steps. Fantastic Four: First Steps is early tracking to earn $125 to $136 million at the domestic box office. So you're talking about something that's tracking about 50% higher than Captain America: Brave New World. Where did Captain America: Brave New World end up at? $413 million. So if all things play out, if it had a similar drop at all these things, you're talking about a movie that might be in that $650 million range, maybe creep up to $700 million. That's what we're talking about for Fantastic Four. And I have said all along that I certainly don't see Fantastic Four having another $400 million debut. These are bigger characters. There's a lot more stakes. There's more writing on the future of the MCU, all of those things. I never thought it was going to be a Thunderbolts or Captain America Brave New World movie. However, if this tracking holds and we have recent performances that aren't outliers like, say, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which had a really fantastic run for Marvel at the box office, despite a fairly low opening, then that $650 to $700 million range might end up being where it's at. And we don't really have information on the budget for Fantastic Four yet. There's been people that are guessing, well, it's probably at least $200 million. The summer marketing for these movies typically over the last several years has been about $150 million spend. If that's your marketing budget, if you're in this thing for a minimum of $350 million, guess what? $700 million might be your break-even point. And Marvel desperately needs this to be a success, which is why you're seeing the media do the things they typically do. If this movie opens in that realm, the $130 million, and it's incredibly well received and has a great hold and all that stuff, certainly the sky could potentially be the limit if they actually put in a great effort and put out a great movie that people love. However, if it's more similar in the vein to what we've seen recently from Marvel and the box office drops we've seen recently from Marvel, then $650, $700 million might be the realistic thing that you're looking at. And although that looks much better than bombs like Captain America Brave New World and Thunderbolts, $650 million at the box office, that is not going to cut it for this movie, which you've put a massive amount of money in, and you have so much writing on, because this is about the future and setting up the future of the MCU. These characters that will be involved in Avengers Doomsday, Secret Wars, all of this stuff. So, predictably, the media hype circle jerk, just like we saw for Captain America Brave New World, just like we saw for the Thunderbolts, it's now restarting again for Fantastic Four, and I wouldn't be shocked to see the same things after the opening weekend or when the reviews come out. It's the best Marvel movie since the last Marvel movie. MCU is back, the same shit we've seen time after time. Whether it is, obviously remains to be seen. But certainly between going all in with the marketing, even revealing the baby from Fantastic Four, kicking off pre-sales almost 2 months before it comes out, obviously Marvel knows they need a massive, massive movie. They need to hit it out of the park, especially with the failures they've already had this year. But already when you do look at this, yeah, these numbers look way more impressive than Thunderbolts and Captain America Brave New World. But those are massive flops. So all this stuff about, it broke all these records and it's crashing the apps. The apps weren't crashing for Deadpool and Wolverine, which opened at 211 million. And now we find out that the actual numbers from this big opening day, it looks like that might have been just part of this media hype train, when in reality, you're sitting here at a number that should be very concerning for Marvel. We'll see what happens. Let me know your thoughts about all this in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.